well, look who it is. It's me, John. It's PVG, and it's time for another week of the Powerbotch Podcast. But of course, I'm joined. I'm gladly joined. But you know his name. He's got triple F in there. He's a bit of a fried one. He's also got a title that he didn't earn on his shoulder. It's Freed.
Objection. I did earn this belt. And we will get into this right away. But let me tell you, later on we will have another top 10. We will be talking about the worst finishes in wrestling. We've got the news. We've got AEW Dynamite. But last Saturday, that was all out.
That's
what
right.
a fantastic show. And we did a little prediction contest. And you are worse than Chance. I'm just about as good as Chance. I got 5 out of 10 matches. You got 4 out of 10. This makes me the inaugural Powerbotch champion.
We didn't agree on it. We didn't agree on certain stipulations for winning a title. I call that suspect. I call that a farce. I call that nepotism.
I mean, it's kind of opportune that I won because I had the title lying around anyway, so...
Only a skullduggerous individual would give themselves a reward and put a prize up for value post the results. That is heinous. That's like if I won, I would give myself the inaugural belt and had one crafted from golden diamonds, but I didn't because I'm classy.
Yeah, you didn't win. You're right.
No, I didn't have the money to craft anything from gold or diamonds. I'm flat broke. There's a difference.
Anyway, what did you think about All Out? I thought it was a fantastic show. Little moments we get into that kind of brought down my opinion of the show overall. But if you don't think about those, I think it was a fantastic show.
I definitely like a grit show with like a lot of really surprising results. Like it seems that the guys at AEW, it seems like Tony Khan is continuing his methodology of not going with the obvious grain when it comes to booking. When he sets up something like we'll get into. Oh, we don't really have to get into it. Like, I mean, we start off with like Britt Baker comes back and immediately eats a loss. Like, that just seems so strange to me. It's like, oh, we finally got her back. Let's let her lose now. I'm like, what the hell? Like, in my head, like, Swole was like the one that had the advantage for the whole feud. And if anything, wrestling has taught us anything, and maybe it's just that WWE's conditioned us very poorly like this, but someone who gets the upper hand, like the majority of the incline of a feud, and then for them to win as well, and they're not the heel, is such a strange feeling.
No. Nah, John, you got it all wrong. That's why I picked Big Swole to win, because she got jumped on a go-home show.
But look at everything like that happened prior to the go-home show. Like, everything prior to the go-home show, like, the weight is not on Britt Baker's side. Like, Britt Baker was made to look like the fool more often than not. And when you look at how like a heel versus babyface dynamic works, it's usually that the babyface makes is made to be look like a fool by the heel for the longest time. And that's not even
just a go-home show. Just a go-home show. That's all that matters for this. Kind of a lukewarm take from me. Young Bucks match, fantastic. FTR match, fantastic. The main event, Jon Moxley versus MJF, fantastic. MJF looked like a legit top star, even in defeat. They did a great job.
That was. Do you see why I thought he was capable of having that title now? Does that make sense now when you see it? It's like, if he had a won, you wouldn't have been upset because you would have said he feckin' earned it. He can carry it.
I mean, I wouldn't have been upset anyway because MJF is a very talented guy, but I just feel like it's too soon, and that's just such a stupid thing to say. But that's kind of the conditioning you get from being a wrestling fan for 20 years, you know.
The thing that kind of gave me the idea that I was not going to be right about that during the show is when the Battle Royale finished. Once we saw Lance Archer win, I was like, he's not winning that title now. And the reason why is because I thought to myself, they're going for that Tokyo Dome magic. Lance Archer went against Jon Moxley in a no holds barred, like no disqualification street fight match at like the Tokyo Dome last year, or even early this year technically, and them two literally tore down the house. It was an amazing match, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. They're doing that again. They're going to give them that. They're going to give the people that Tokyo Dome level match. And then they put it on Dynamite, and I went, no, they're not.
What would you give All Out for out of 5?
I sadly have to give it a 3 out of 5, and the reason why is because of the very, very stark shadow cast by a single match that kind of takes away from it. We haven't really said what it is. Maybe we should just we should
talk about this.
Talk about it, and Matt Hardy's very serious injury during the show where he and Sammy Guevara fall off a elevated surface. I can't remember what the name of the called but they clear a table and Matt's head hits off the concrete ground, and bounces, and you could see moments during him trying to recover, get up off his feet, that he was not able to stand on solid ground. It was scary. I watched that part live at like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was screaming at the PC going, get that man to the bloody hospital. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It was a frightening thing to watch. I thought I was watching the death of a man live on TV. It was awful.
And then Aubrey Edwards rings the bell, and I was thinking, okay, good call. Minutes later, they restart the match to go to the intended finish. And that's kind of where most people are. I think that's legit to criticize AEW for doing this. I mean, of course, they had their plans, that they had an outcome in mind, but I feel like those are special circumstances. You don't restart the match. And yeah, I get Dr. Sampson cleared him, but what kind of concussion test can you give someone in like 3 minutes?
Yeah, that to me, that was pur. That was piss poor. There's no way in hell would any sort of test yielded in that time frame give any sort of solid information. My understanding is that he doesn't have a concussion, but he definitely has something because they have put him on the injury sideline. So I think there's something more serious there, maybe a cracked skull, maybe whiplash from a neck or something. But like if they had restarted the match, even something as simple as he rolls up Sammy and gets it over and done with, done and dusted. But to have him climb up that scaffold was horrifying.
He was still on wobbly legs doing this. Could you imagine if he fell from it again? This is incredibly dangerous. He was not well on his feet. This is just lunacy to make him do this. Well, not really make him do this. To my understanding, Matt Hardy was very, very adamant about finishing the match, but it's just not responsible.
No, it's definitely not responsible. It's something that able minds need to step in and say no. The talent should not be behind the steering wheel when an event like that happens. And sadly, stupider heads prevailed that night.
Yeah.
I am not going to be calm in my direction, but Doc Sampson needs to very, very closely look at what he done, reevaluate his situation, because no wrestling fan's going to trust him ever again if something serious happens and something else like that happens again.
Yeah, I mean, in a shoot fight, it's the refs. The ref has to protect the combatants at any time, and I feel like when Aubrey Edwards called for the bell, she did do this, and then just for the doctor to come in and clear him, we said our piece about this, but there have been 2 other very scary spots on the pay-per-view.
Yes, indeed. The one happened during the Battle Royale, which
both happened during the Battle Royale.
Oh, both of them happened. I only witnessed one, which was the obvious one.
Yeah, Matt Sydal.
Yeah.
Who debuted as the Joker for the Battle Royale. He goes into the ring and his first move is a shooting star press, but the turnbuckle is very slippery. Apparently, it was very humid during the show. Plus, you've got a ring full of beefcakes who sweat a lot, so yeah, he slips. he didn't botch it like Brock Lesnar, but he landed very awkwardly. Will Hobbs rushed to protect him, ask him if he's all right. To my understanding, he did not suffer any serious injury from that, which is good. But it looked scary.
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. What was the other one then? What was the other botch that I clearly missed?
Brian Cage put Darby Allin in a body bag filled with thumbtacks, power bombed him onto the stage. He landed very awkwardly because if you're blindsided, you don't really control how to fall.
Right.
And a lot of people looked at that and were kind of scared for Darby Allin, as was I. But yeah, he did not get injured seriously in any way. But it was really scary to watch.
Yeah, like it was definitely a more extreme stunt, and it's one of those ones where I didn't maybe think of it so much as a botch because it was a planned angle that I didn't really see the landing properly. So maybe it was one of those situations where I was like, "Oh, Jesus, I missed the angle he landed. I didn't see the true nature of the actual bump." So yeah, okay, fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Ooh, it's kind of bringing down the mood here. I think we should kind of switch up the tune, talk about something else. How about we continue with the bang and talk about Dynamite?
Yeah, let's get into Dynamite this week. I have opinions on Dynamite, but we're gonna try and wait to the end before we accumulate them all into one go. So first segment, just a bit of a weird one. I thought it was interesting sort of approach the way they've done it, the kind of like the MJF Jericho angle. It's kind of like a repeat of what they've done before, if you notice, because they've done this before in ring. But I did like the way they kind of at the end they kind of like done the side by side camera, and they both just like called each other crap afterwards. I was like, okay, that's funny. That's got a bit of comedy in it. I overall like it was just self-congratulatory, but like it was a funny start. Maybe not the fastest start to Dynamite, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a good way to lead over from All Out because those two guys are arguably the biggest heels in the company, and like it was like the meeting of the mafia patrons, so mafia dons, and like they keep their face talking to each other, but as soon as no one's looking, they talk bad about them to their backs. Yeah, I found it entertaining and sets the mood for the storylines to come. Yeah. But then we start red hot as we always do with a quick tag match full of spots. Jurassic Express versus the Lucha Brothers. Jungle Boy gets the pin with a roll up after miscommunications. Fairly short but good match, and I think the miscommunications is the interesting thing to talk about here.
Yeah, because like throughout the whole match as well, like it didn't feel like the Lucha Bros were kind of, and this plays into sort of like the post angle thing. It just didn't seem their normal selves. Like it didn't seem like a rapid fire bam 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 bam, because I think you are like a well-oiled machine. But we saw from like the end angle, there's a lot of friction between Ray and Phoenix. You know, again, we got Eddie playing this sort of like peacemaker, which is so weird to me. I don't know why, but it just doesn't feel right. But he does kind of have a wee jab at Mr. Mr. Pac. Yeah. So maybe there's something coming down the line there. Maybe when Pac's back, we're going to see.
I mean, he talks about Ellie too, Blade's wife, not being with them. I think it was to further the storyline. Like, your best friend is not here for you. Your wife is not here for you. I'm here for you. You know, and this kind of feeds back into what I said when he first debuted as the leader of this faction. Kind of feels like La Familia, like the Latino gang. He's the leader. He's the patron of this gang. He's there for his familia, but he demands obedience in return.
Yeah, and it's so much like it is kind of like that slimy sort of underground thing. It's like that real slimy sort of like. Like I said that it all out, or for all out, that he was going to use them to get into the last 3 or 4, didn't he? Where was he?
Yeah, last 2.
Yeah, last 2.
Yeah, and he brings it up because technically he wasn't eliminated from the match. It was never thrown over the top rope.
Yeah, Blue in the chat even mentioned that as well, and he's asking should he had technically have a title match. I think it'd be one of those ones you would have to maybe if you want to rectify that, it would have to be almost like the Rock versus Big Show angle from, what was it, like 2002, 2001, where they had to compete for the championship match of WrestleMania post Royal Rumble because Rock cheated technically. So I mean, I guess
I can see that down the line. It would be a cool Dynamite main event down the line. He could levy this. They could make a storyline out of, not a big storyline, just a transitional thing.
Yeah.
But did you notice the name change of Pentagon Jr.?
Penta L0M.
Yeah.
That was a one I think they used in. I want to say they used that either in Impact or at AAA, but he's went by a few Penta names depending on where he's been.
Yeah, they use that because they don't have the rights to Pentagon Jr. They want to put the name on merch and stuff.
Ah, so they're using Penta L0M then?
Yeah, it's just kind of funny when JR tries to say the name.
Yeah, because he did ask like a thing, Scholar, what it meant. It was like, oh, it's Zero Fear. It's his moniker, L0M. So Zero Miedo,
Yeah.
But I didn't know they didn't have the rights to that. That's interesting. We got another segment with Lance Archer, and I thought it was a bit stupid.
Yeah, it was your standard Lance Archer promo. I feel like we've heard a dozen of them by now.
It's not even that there, but it's like he says, "Oh, you're not gonna have time to prep for me." It's like, mate, he fought you at Wrestle Kingdom. He knows he's had plenty of time to prep for you. You've both had a title match at Wrestle Kingdom. At least be sensible and acknowledge that there has been a little bit of interaction between you. Like AEW has been really good like that until there, and I was like, "God, come on, guys." Like, you are so good about mentioning other people's history. This is where you can mention it again. Mention it.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
And I think they want to do their own thing. In the Mox promo later on, he doesn't bring it up either. But I think he does a fairly good job to talk up his opponent. He puts over that Lance Archer is much stronger, bigger, more intimidating than Mox. But Mox has heart, He has the fighting spirit to overcome everyone.
Plus, he apparently climbs through crap and climbs mountains. So I mean, I don't know about that, but crawl through crap and climb a mountain. I don't know if I could do that. I could barely do that. Yeah. You ask me to crawl through crap and climb a mountain, I'll tell you where to go. There's this weird. They keep using this wood chipper thing, though. Like this, they keep going back to the wood chipper stuff. Yeah. Again, it feels like they're better than this. They should be able to.
I mean, maybe Tony Khan has bought a new wood chipper, and now it's a hot in joke to put it in your promo.
Yeah, just like, oh, time to talk about my wood chipper. It's like, yeah, maybe. But then we have maybe a slightly like happier promo from Mr. Matt Hardy. At least we get a sign that he's alive and well, and he's able to stand, and his wife is not too angry at the company to not stand in their crowd, because I don't know if you saw over the weekend, Remy on Twitter.
I mean,
for a good reason.
She only agreed to come to the arena because she wanted to stab Tony Khan in the back.
Oh dear. Wow. Allegedly. Okay. But no, like, I mean, it was good to see him back. Like, again, we were very scared watching those moments from All Out, but he's going to take some time to recover, which is great. He admits he's a bit stupid, and maybe sometimes he needs to not buy into his own gimmick a bit too much when he calls himself the unkillable Matt Hardy. Yeah, which is good. And then he says something that I was like, okay, I can get back. I can get that behind that. Just get healthy, get ranked, get titles. Do it. Fucking do it. I'm happy for you to do that.
Yeah, it felt like a very human promo. It was not really a wrestling promo. It felt like it came from the heart, like he meant it.
Yeah, I think he's starting to realize that maybe he's no longer Team Extreme. He's not 25 with his brother Jeff jumping through tables at a TLC match. He needs to.
Yeah,
I get it. Like, that was your greatest days, and you're still trying to become relevant. You're still trying to feel relevant in our young locker room. You don't have to do that, though. Look what Jericho does. He doesn't do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I said when Matt Hardy debuted, if you recall that. I said he needs to change up his style. He doesn't need to do the big bumps anymore, and look what he's been doing. He took all the big bumps. 2 weeks after his debut, he went through a table, and it wasn't even the finish. He had the scary tables match with Sammy, where he took all the bumps. They had to match it all out. He was just upping the stakes like every month, and he doesn't need to do this. I feel like what he needs to do, he doesn't have anything to lose. If you ask me, he should put over newer guys at this point.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think he's above that. I just think he wants to still feel like he can hang with them.
Yeah. I mean, he can still have great matches with them, but he doesn't need to take those high risk moves anymore.
I wonder if it's a fit situation where, like, his like spine's meant to be start fusing to his his pelvis because of all of the leg drops and stuff, like from the top rope and stuff he's done. I wonder if he's feeling like he needs to compensate for that, and that's why he does this stupid stuff. Which I like. I don't get. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing wrong taking like the odd table bump, maybe once every 5-6 months. We don't need to see him go through 5 in the space of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm
with you there. Yeah. So next up, we have. Sorry?
Justin being a tad rude in our chat there.
No. It's fine. He's right, Next up, Angelico versus Cassidy. It's a nice little short technical match. Angelico really showing off his technical prowess, but it's a short match because Cassidy wins with the Superman punch after like 3 minutes or so. Jack Evans currently injured, as I found out. Yeah.
Okay, that explains a lot then. Because I was going to say, why is a tag team doing singles competition like? I'm sure there's other singles competitors that Orange could have taken out, but
when the Hybrid 2 came back a couple of weeks ago, Jack Evans was wrestling on Dark without Angelico. Angelico was on the outside for that. They've been doing singles matches, but yeah, Jack Evans is out at the moment. But yeah, Angle after the match. Like I said, quick match, furthering the storyline between the best friends Santana and Ortiz. The latter two rush in to beat up Orange Cassidy. Best friends make the save, and they challenged them to a parking lot brawl next week.
I'll be looking forward to that, but I'm hoping this is like the finality of this. They, in my opinion, they probably could have done this at All Out, and it would have made more sense. But
it was a stacked card.
It was a stacked card, but not to sound horrible, you could have took out that Dark Order match. You didn't need that there. You could have slotted that one in. That was like a feud created at the last second.
I feel like the Dark Order had to have been on the card.
Yeah,
too big to miss out on them.
Battle Royale, we had a few. I wouldn't call them jobbers, but we had some people that weren't, as big as maybe some of our combatants in the Battle Royale. Used to could have had like a Dark Order angle in the Battle Royale and still give, best friends and Santana and Ortiz an actual match out of it, but I look forward to this next match. At parking lot brawl. Jesus, that was a tongue twister. It's something I'll look forward to.
I mean, look at the Butcher and Young Bucks match a couple of weeks back. It was kind of like a parking lot brawl. This has the potential to be really, really fun, and it feels like it has the finality to it because it was in the parking lot where it all started with Sue's car, right?
Sue's car is my favorite term. I love it. We don't have a Chekhov's gun. We have a Sue's car in this show.
A chat is pointing out that Orange Cassidy changed his style. We should talk about this real briefly.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like Jericho said in his promos, he was molding Cassidy into a legit main event star. And yeah.
And there was, during the match as well, he did do a hybrid of his like slightly like lazy approach.
Yeah.
But still kind of like was very intense because we can see he can wrestle now. And I like his stupid gimmick. It's funny, but funny only works when it's occasional. You can't do funny every week.
Yeah.
And the dimensions that, like you said, Chris has worked with him to try and make him this more well-rounded star is smart. I like it. And you know what? He has the right skill set to be a great wrestler. It's great. I enjoy it.
I feel like he should still do the lazy, not caring character. because that's what got him over in the first place. You shouldn't change it up too much, but you can give him reasons to care. You know.
Yeah. So it's like a hybrid. Like make it make sense. Don't like make every match he does a lazy match, if you know what I mean. Like do a lazy match once every 2 months or something, or once every month, or where it makes sense. Don't make every match or the vast majority of matches a lazy match. I would argue that I only maybe want him to wrestle twice a month.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah.
You know?
Chad seems to agree. Lazy style is better. Next piece of action. Maves is in front of the Young Bucks locker room. He wants to get the hot take on what happened at All Out. It knocks on the door a couple of times. Young Bucks open the door. Stereo super kick.
Yeah, it's leaning back into the ways of old. We're looking at the Elite 2017 here, when Kenny and the Bucks were fiendishly devilish boys. Maybe 2016, but definitely sort of the more when it was the trio and there were heels back in the Bullet Club days. So we're starting to see a wee return of that there.
And later on, we find out that each of them got fined $5,000, and that's about what we get from the Young Bucks on this show.
Yeah, not a lot of money though. Like I would have.
Yeah.
I mean, we know these guys are meant to be like EVPs as well as wrestlers. We know they're millionaires. I feel like $5,000 for them too is like, that's kind of crap. That doesn't make me think like that's gonna teach them a lesson. Should have been 20 grand each, you know, something substantial. Like I feel like they could look at $5,000 and laugh, you know.
But then again, it took me at least half a year to know the name of the interviewer. That's how little I care about him. I feel like 5,000 is justified.
Alex Marvez, in his defense, was part of the original commentary team when they were still working on getting the commentary team together. He wasn't great on commentary, but he was a good C-team commentator while I built an actual decent team together. And the way I kind of look at it is like you attack the non-in-ring competitor. They're not trained like that. Should have been more money. You know, as well as that again, you're trying to teach a lesson. Low amounts of money don't teach no one a lesson. If they can piss $5,000 up a wall and not think twice about it, do you really think they're not going to kick someone again like that?
This reminds me of the early days of Jimmy Havoc in AEW, where he got fined for his violence, and he had this backstage segment. Asks the ref, "How much is it if I staple this to his head?" That's a fine of $1,000. Have $1,000. Click.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You just teach them how much violence costs.
Yeah.
And if you have the money to do it, just
yeah, it just didn't come off as sensible to me.
Next up is possibly the headlining angle of the show, although you wouldn't know that because you get reminded constantly that we have Cody speaking later on in the show.
Yeah, and then that was
we get to that when we get there.
Yeah.
I have words to say about this.
This next segment or the Cody thing? Because you kind of
the
lost
Cody
it.
thing.
Okay, go for it. We'll get into this. So we have the it's like it's the pretty much the running joke of like who's the best man. It's Kip Sabian's wedding nuptials, and we have so many people come out. We have some big lad, and it plays in the whole angle of like Kip Sabian being a Twitch streamer as well. He's a good lad. Kabian, you know? Kabian? Jesus, wow, I can't speak today. The whiskey has took over. No, it's the Kip being a streamer and is talking about subscribers and stuff. Again, we all know what that's a pot shot about, but we'll get in that in a little minute.
Maybe let's get into this now because it plays into the next angle. Let's talk about this. Yeah. Because they did the big shot at All Out.
Yes, they did.
Kip Sabian talks about he's going to wed his fiancée Penelope Ford in a couple of weeks, and then he promotes his Twitch stream, and in a lower third you can read this message is approved by AEW, or AEW approves this message, and yeah, it references the very misguided communication. The letter WWE put out last week.
They made that into a massive shit show. They told everyone that they couldn't do Twitch and YouTube and Cameo and stuff. And then they told them that we're trying to protect the rights to the names like Walt Disney. And then they said they owned the real names of the people as well. And it was like, what are you saying here?
Yeah, it's insane. The best comeback to this is from my favorite flat earther, AJ Styles. When he mentions, WWE doesn't own AJ Styles, I allow them to use my name.
Yeah, because he's got that copyright. He had that copyright from the TNA days and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's fine. He can do what he wants in that regard. But like people where they have created the name for them, because that's what WWE does. They do own those performing names. But when they said they owned their real names as well, I was like, you legally can't. That's not legal. That's not even legal. You can't.
And WWE was really threatening in their communications, weren't they? They said like, okay, you have 30 days to delete all your social media accounts, like your YouTube, your Twitch. They backpedaled on all of that later. Your Cameo. If you don't, you get fined, you get suspended, you may be fired, and immense backlash. There are a lot of wrestlers who earn extra money doing stuff like that. You have a Celtic Warrior workouts with Sheamus. You have up, down, down. A lot of people stream on Twitch. A lot of them are on Cameo.
Especially considering they don't have the house show money to get, because now they're down on money because so they have a guarantee, right? And the guarantee might be was it like $400,000 over like 3 years or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But we always talk about
the extra merchandise sales. Sorry, we're talking over each other.
That's grand. Plus, you have the merchandise sales, as you're right. But we always talk about these wrestlers as millionaires. The merchandise sales are not worth that much unless you're like a top tier guy, like a John Cena. But how they get their millions of dollars is because they get a cut of every house show they do. They do get a cut of the gate at house shows. No house shows means no additional payments. These Twitch streams, these YouTube channels, these Cameo services have been helping get this extra revenue. Now, bear in mind, they're not spending the money on the rental cars and stuff, so they're actually saving money there. But, why not make money? If you can make it,
Yeah. And I mean, even the mainstream got involved. You got politicians involved, threatening legal actions and stuff like that. And it's a very, very open secret that what WWE is doing with their independent contractors is it legal? In Germany, it would be legal.
I think if we see a Democrat win in America, I can see WWE being put in a lot of heat here. I think because they were so cozy to the Trumps, they're going to be target number one when it comes to this stuff. And should we see a change in the actual administration? Apparently, Kip Sabian is in Blue's neck of the woods. Or from his neck of the woods. I did not know that. God damn. Look at him knowing wrestlers, potentially. But yeah, getting back to the segment though, so we have like a bunch of like who's who. So we have a random Twitch subscriber, and then we have Brian Pillman Jr. Come out as well, and he's not the best man. And it's one of those situations where I know Justin saying there that Brian Pillman got a bit buried, but Brian Pillman's not signed with AEW. He's still signed with MLW, and they're not going to push him until he can be a full-time employee. They can't.
But don't use him in this kind of segment. He felt really goofy there.
You know what? We'll forget about it in like a year's time when he's a full-time employee and he's actually going for belts. I don't think this is going. I don't think it's going to have long-term damage. But then we do have the real best man, Mr. Miro. He's just Miro, isn't he? There's no second name, just Miro.
Yeah, the best man.
The best man, Miro.
The Miro best man.
The Miro best man. But we also saw like the Bulgarian colors in his text on the Titantron stuff. We had a Miro Day chant and stuff, and we had some,
And they called him the Bulgarian beast on commentary, not Bulgarian brute.
The Bulgarian beast, yes. They were very careful of their copyrighted terms there. Now, I'll wait to see if we see Mr. JR mess that up and call him the Bulgarian Brute by accident, because JR he keeps calling Jake Hager Swagger. So I mean, he's a little bit caught. He's a little bit caught in his ways, but sure.
Justin Roberts should have clued him in. He's rock hard, Jake Hager.
Rock hard, Jake Hager. What the fuck is that?
I will never get over that.
He's like, what a weird name. But yeah, we have Miro here, and again, it seems like a continuation of just the shit that's being thrown in WWE's face, which is easy to fucking do, if I'm honest. Like, he talks about glass ceilings and imaginary brass rings, and then shoving those imaginary brass rings up someone's ass. I wonder who.
Yeah.
But it just you could see on Miro's face that he was actually genuinely happy to, be there and have a sense of creative freedom. Like, it felt like it's like, I can finally be me. I can speak without being scripted. I can be the true person I want to be. And I think that's one of those great sort of uplifting things that we find when you come from the other place to AEW, is that you have that freedom there, and you can just see it on his face.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I don't know if he's a heel or a face. It's hard to say.
He came out through the face tunnel, so
Is that the prevailing theory? That one's a face tunnel and one's the heel tunnel?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Like the Bucks, when the Bucks turned, they exited through the face tunnel after the match with the 8-man tag team match.
Right.
They exited through the heel tunnel. That's what I meant to say.
I did not know we had that.
Yeah. Doesn't matter right now. Miro. Yeah, he seems to be a face. Kind of really short, fiery promo, like you said. Like the charismatic beast that he is. Got blonde tips now. He looked like a very beefy. Now I'm blanking on the name. Curb and Bite. That's the guy.
Oh yeah, the old what's his name?
Like Chavo Guerrero.
Chavo Guerrero, yeah.
This very, very misguided gimmick he had back then. But then again, if the Blade had a full head of hair, Miro would look like a beef blade.
A beef blade is that's a hell of a sentence.
The butcher, the beef, the blade.
I can see that. I can get behind that triplet. The butcher, the beef, and the blade. I mean, it works, right?
I mean, the butcher's bringing the beef currently, but
yeah, but the blade's gonna cut it.
It's kind of hard for us to talk about the Miro segment, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of like one of those things where we're just kind of like going off on tangent now.
What do you think about debuting him in this segment specifically?
Not the best way to do it.
Yeah, I was a fan of Miro coming out on his promo. I wasn't a fan of the surroundings.
Yeah, I feel like the trappings of him being Kip Sabian's best man was kind of crap. I get why they've done it. It's two Twitch stars. You can theoretically call them stars, Twitch stars. And maybe that's where they're going to say their link is like, oh, they know each other because they Twitch together,
Well, that's what Kip Sabian implied with his promo.
Yeah.
And the other connection is Miro has experience with ruining weddings. He did this earlier this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
You got a heelish guy trying to marry a good-looking blonde. So there are connections there.
No, I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't put I don't want to.
Do you want to see him team up with Kip Sabian? I mean, he surely, quote unquote, turns on him at some point.
I wouldn't mind him working an angle with him to begin with. I think that's fine. I don't want him in a relationship with Penelope Ford because that's too mirrored to what he was doing in several times in WWE. I don't want to tread that ground again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We've done that with obviously with Lana and then the other girl. God, I can't even remember her name now.
You had the Summer Rae storyline at one point.
That's Summer Rae
with Dolph Ziggler. Yeah.
So I don't want to go down that path again. That we need to stay away from that. So let's please stay away from that. I think they could have made him come out and look like a fucking conqueror. I mean, me and you expected him to come out in the Battle Royale, and I think it would have been better if that had happened.
If he doesn't win it, don't bring him out there.
Yeah, fair.
Let's hope next week they give him a clear story, because I don't see that right now. I felt like they should have debuted him in an angle that's clear where everything's going, made him look like the badass he is.
Yeah. Makes sense. But then we jump into our next segment, which is kind of one of two. We've got the Hangman side of this segment, which is you can see he's just a sad, lonely, depressed man. Like he's sorrowful for everything he's done, and I didn't think that. It's making me start to think, man. I was so sure that a Four Horsemen thing was coming, and now I don't know what's happening.
Dude, this segment was so great that it made me question that Kenny and he really split up.
Yeah,
because Adam Page, he's full in self-blaming mode. He puts all the blame on what happened on him. He even says, you know what, Kenny Omega was right. The Young Bucks are the best tag team. FTR should have never been number one contenders. It's all his fault. And what he wants to do now is heal the relationship with Kenny and climb the ranks up back again.
Yeah,
very interesting. And like you said, juxtapose that with the Kenny Omega promo.
Which was terrible, because we see, like, because that shatters our dream later, because we see Kenny is talking about him just, being fed up and having this destined path of, like, the company's, like, ace of the company, the single star that was going to be the first champion, but then he found a new identity in the tag division, but realizing that it's maybe not his true destiny, and he has to go back to being the single star, and he no longer wants to be a tag team specialist, and so you have that shattering of that dream, that desire for that desire for Hangman, and it's just like, man, this is like a relationship that's broke up. You have someone who's still hurting and someone who doesn't care.
Yeah, and Kenny, he delivered his lines in a very calm, collected way, but did he feel emotionally detached to you as well?
Yeah, like it feels like he felt like he had just. And we've seen this over the last month or so. We'd seen him become a more detached and unempathetic individual, and that started all with like Jurassic Express and Marco Stunt and stuff. We saw all that like months ago, and now it's just finally reared its ugly head.
Yeah, it's this Kenny Omega Adam Page thing is probably one of the best told storylines in wrestling.
Yeah. So for at least in the last few years, definitely.
So let's bring him some information. The title match between Mox and Lance Archer is not at Full Gear, but it is in fact October 14th or 19th. Doesn't matter. It's not at Full Gear.
Yeah, it's the anniversary show.
Do you think that that Kenny Omega could challenge Moxley at Full Gear? That would be the anniversary of their match.
So you have to get him up the ladder. He's not on the singles ladder first. I feel like it'd be a very poor justification just to say, let's stick him in there. You would have to. Mm-hmm. I think we'll need to see how they do the next 3 months of entertainment. I mean, 2 months is it? Is it November that we have Full Gear? Jeez, it's not even that much. So we have to give him at least 10 matches between now and November. And the thing
is, at the beginning of this year, he was still ranked as a singles guy in the top 5.
But is he still?
No, But even as a tag team champion, he was still ranked at the beginning of the year. I feel like it could be justified that he climbs the ranks much quicker. And if you do it like in other combat sports, you could just get him a high ranking by defeating the guys on the ladder. Yeah. Let me just actually check who are the top 5 right now to see who he would need to defeat.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things as well. It's like feeling that there, just look out for Kenny Omega at an AEW Dark near you,
he could defeat Scorpio Sky and be ranked number 5. Easy.
Okay. Right. It's not too bad then.
I mean, the other guys are Cody, MJF, Brian Cage, Lance Archer.
I think Cody's coming out of that top 5 ranking very soon. He's not going to be around for much longer. He is meant to be doing that show with
let's talk about this later.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Next match, Jericho and Hager versus Janela and Sonny Kiss in a no disqualifications match. The faces, I think, got a surprising amount of offense in, But
Yeah.
match comes to an end when Jericho uses a fire extinguisher on Sonny.
I thought that was funny.
Pun?
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, yeah. Massive Uranagi from Hager. They win. Nothing to say about the match. Well, the real meat comes after them when Jericho declares what's next for him. All of the inner circle lost it all out. They've lost a lot recently. They lost at Double or Nothing. They lost it all out. Yeah. He and Hager will team up and climb up the ranks in the tag division. That's interesting.
Interesting. I don't know how I feel about it, though, because we still have FTR at the helm, and I just don't think like that works.
I feel actually good about this because there are so many tag teams in AEW that it's kind of hard to get a good singles feud going for everyone. So they could feud with the team. I don't see them legitimately climbing the ranks and facing for the title. Maybe as a one-off, as a transitional thing, but I think this is mainly to get them something to do with the tag team feud.
You're right. It takes Jericho out of there and lets people who are. Yeah, it lets the talent who maybe haven't got a chance to actually go against some of the bigger talent a chance to.
I think it could be possible for MJF to do the same, and that's kind of the next segment.
Yeah, MJF kind of just destroys his whole campaign in one heartfelt swoop, just scalds everyone out of the room, and then we just have this moment where we see a lot more of like Wardlow's independent side. Like, he was not happy about the things said to him, but then we also have this, and I don't think I knew this either, but we have this indication that Wardlow is not actually on, well, in theory, he's not on the AEW payroll, he's on MJF's payroll.
That was established at the start.
So it's one of those things where it was said so long ago that maybe it's a situation where, for God's sake, people messaging me, fuck off. But, you know, it's one of those situations where we can see maybe a bigger sort of face turn for Wardlow. I feel like if they go into the tag division together, because, you know, that's kind of where everything's going towards now. That's, you know, we could see the deconstructing of these two and finally having a Wardlow face turn, and that works.
Let me just mention one more thing about the promo. Testament to how great MJF is. You see the image, the much smaller MJF, but he's so threatening towards Wardlow. And when he says this line like, remember Wardlow, I'm your only friend. And I want you to get your shit together. Kind of sent shivers down my spine. MJF is great. But back to the tag stuff, I can see it go either way. Like, Wardlow could eat all the pins and MJF could get frustrated with him. Or the callback to the Cody feud. Because Cody, before his match with Wardlow, he had this awesome promo talking about that MJF is afraid of people finding out that Wardlow is so much better than MJF, and that Wardlow finds out that MJF is holding him back. This could be a story you can tell on Tag Feud.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those situations as well when they come to final blows. It's going to be a white hot feud between them in a singles arena as well, and we're going to really see a real shit heel side of MJF, because how does someone MJF stature feasibly go up against someone like Wardlow? Like Wardlow was going toe to toe with Luchasaurus, and even then he was beating Luchasaurus, who's a pretty tall guy and a pretty big lad, quite handedly. I mean, that means we're going to get a lot of like very creative, like David and Goliath matches, but you know, the shoes on the other foot.
Yeah, he's an impressive guy for sure. Let's move on to the next segment, FTR Celebration. That was kind of bad, wasn't it?
It was kind of stupid, yeah. Like they run down everyone and then get caught in the middle between everyone. It's kind of like, I get it. They're trying to be those heels. They always said they want to try and make the baby faces look great, and try and make be like they like. This is what they said in like one of the podcasts. They like making baby faces look great, and this kind of plays into that style. But it was just
some of it was funny. they nag all of them, like giving insulting compliments, basically. But yeah, it's all a setup for the next week when they face Jurassic Express. It's a non-title match. Could set up the next feud. I feel like this is just a transitional feud,
Yeah,
if at any. Yeah,
I don't think it's anything special of this feud. I just can't see anything big coming out of it. But sure, we could be wrong. But I just don't think so. Then we have the FTW segment as well. I call it the FTW segment, or you call them the Taz Express.
Yeah, the Taz Express.
Taz
Well,
Express.
it wasn't the Taz Express. There was no Brian Cage.
So it's just an FTW segment then. But we just see more of the same, which is a bit of a letdown. It's just Ricky Starks pretending to be Darby Allin again. It's like, come on, you've already done this.
He's really good doing that. I give him that. And when he does that, he shows a kind of more vicious side of himself, and I like that. But like, yeah, we've done, and it was a nothing promo. Yeah, Darby Allin is reckless, blah blah blah. Ricky will beat him. We've been saying and hearing the same thing for like 4 weeks now, and I'm like still kind of want to see the match between them, but. Come on, get your stuff together.
Yeah, just like if you're going to do a promo, do something that doesn't mirror something you done 3 weeks ago. It was lazy to me. It was just really lazy. Then we have the women's match with Ty Conti and Nyla Rose. We have the first, I think, signed match with Ty Conti.
Yeah.
And Ty looked a little bit rough around the edges is what I'm gonna say. She was definitely giving a lot of stuff to Nyla, but you could just see she had some ring rust in there. I thought it was interesting that they give her enough of the actual heat just to beat the crap out of Nyla, but it was just kind of a
yeah. What's kind of annoying to me is, well, after the match, Shida comes out with a She-Knight to defend Conti from further assault, and it looks like we're getting another Nyla Rose Shida title feud, and it's been an eternity since we last seen Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero on Dynamite. I think the last time we saw them was when Nyla Rose announced Vicky Guerrero as her manager. So that's kind of bad. Kind of bad storytelling all over. But I don't think they have another challenger ready at the moment. Speaking of other women's stuff, because there's not much more on the show, let's put it all in one segment. Let's do it like AEW do it. We got the announcement that next week Thunder Rosa will defend the NWA title against Ivelisse on Dynamite.
That's cool. I think that's cool. Like their match, like the Thunder Rosa Hikaru Shida match on All Out was I thought that was great. I thought that was amazing. That was such a good that was such a good match. And I'm really high on Thunder Rosa, so I'm glad to see that there. I don't think that the NWA stuff's gonna go very far, and I think this is them being smart and making sure that they have their guys on present, so that if it doesn't go well, they at least have they're at least keeping their talent hot and in public circulation.
I mean, NWA have signed a couple of really, really good guys and girls. I wouldn't mind seeing more NWA guys pop up in AEW, to be honest. Like your Lance Storm, like your Nick Aldis. They even got a certain Mr. Anderson there, stuff like that.
I think that I would like to see it. I just don't think their business model they've went for with this Showtime or whatever it's called is gonna work. So I think it's smart. They're at least keeping people available and on TV so that there's something to them. Like people know who they are.
And if you wonder what business model is we have a clip for you on our YouTube channel to check out.
Yes, check it out, guys. We talked about it last week. Check it out. Yeah. Check it out in the channel later after the podcast. Yeah. But yeah, interesting. We're seeing more of them. Can't wait to see more Thunder Rosa. I think she's fucking awesome.
Exactly.
And then we go into the main event. Which is the Dustin versus Brody Lee. You want to say something?
I've I don't really want to get into the match. Even I have a lot to preface.
I was just gonna say it was pretty much a expectation. You know, we just saw Brody take the win with a discus clothesline, just kind of standard affair. And then there's the post match segment as well. It seems like every match this shows a bit of post match segment.
Yeah, before we get into the post match, I have things to say about this, not the match itself, but well, the first thing, a lot of people have complained online that Cody lost in like 3 minutes and Dustin gets a 15-minute match, you know? But I feel like AEW wants to be more sports-like. If you get in from a wrestling perspective, oh yeah, Brody Lee has a power level of over 9,000 and Dustin with his power level of 3,000 shouldn't stand a chance, right? But if you look at it from a sports perspective, you can have a bad day, you can have a good day, you can land a fluke punch, you can ring someone's bell, you know? And that's kind of how you could explain why Cody was so utterly dismantled. You could say, oh yeah, the first punch Brody Lee threw just drunk Cody's bell. He couldn't get back into the match after this. Stuff like that.
And like it's not unheard of to be done in other promotions. I mean, look at Lesnar done to play WWE. He's had plenty of matches like that there. You know, when you have someone who is big and domineering, that's normal. Like it can happen. But
I feel like AEW, at least on commentary, should justify this a little bit, bring in the realism. Why does Dustin Rhodes last 3 times, 4 times as long as his brother in a match against the same guy?
You know what? I think maybe it could be argued that, you know what, when Brody was going after the title, he was going in for business to get it done and dusted, and then when he was doing this match, it was for pleasure.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not sharing the mindset of the people online who said that. I'm with you completely, but give a justification on TV to make it more palatable to those people.
Yeah. But you know what?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry. You know what? I feel like this is not going to happen often. We don't have to worry about it a lot. This is not a regular thing. It'll happen maybe once every year or two. And it'll be a shock. There's not going to be a 2 month, every 2 months, someone's going to go down and lose a title in a minute.
Yeah. And the second thing I want to say about, let me preface this. I love Brody Lee. I love Dustin. Talented guys who have worked very hard to get where they are right now. But I'm getting horrible TNA flashbacks to, in WWE, those two were lower mid-carders at best, if you want to call them that. And now they main event the TV show for the title.
Yeah.
That's serious TNA flashbacks from the late 2000s. It feels like in 2 or 3 years they will hire Vince Russo and Terry.
If that happens, I stop watching. If I'm honest, I stop watching if that happens. No. The only thing I will say is that they at least didn't give them the title on their first episode, which they've done on a lot of TNA.
Well, our second week, like...
You know, but it was it took Brody a few months. He was there for about 6 months before he got a title.
Yeah, right. And it's not the top title, it's the mid-card title.
Yeah, it's like he did go for the belt, but he was successfully defeated in his approach. So there's always that. But like the match happens, it's, you know, it's standard affair, and then we have the post-match angle. And we see a lot of anger still towards Mr. Colt Cabana. We still and also we have Evil Uno usher him out again, like trying to say, "Look, I know what it's like. I've been there. Come on, me and you will just go get a drink or something. Don't worry about it. It just happens. He'll be okay in a few." You know, I'm just internalizing what he's probably said to him, but like, it's interesting that we still see that anger.
Yeah.
Even. You know, towards Colt, and he's still such a fresh new prospect as well.
I mean, Brody Lee has been portrayed as a very, very angry man on AEW TV, so I don't think it's surprising to see the anger.
Yeah, I just didn't think it would be as lasting as that. I thought it would have been a one night thing, and then it would be more tempered, sort of.
I think we're on phase 2 of cult initiation right now. First phase was the honeymoon phase. Colt Cabana was happy all the time. Now he gets broken down and built up again, you know? it's kind of we can give you the world, but we can take it away from you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, building up the dependency.
I guess, yeah, because that is like the cycle of abuse, and that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I can see how that could be the mechanic here. So that's fair.
And now I think we arrive at the point where I can rant a little bit.
Go for it.
Because all of the show they've been promoting, later on you will be hearing from Cody. And I was very excited. What will Cody say after he got dismantled, after he got proverbially buried? What will he say? What will he come back to? Is it the Four Horsemen? Will he announce that he's back at the... No.
What happens?
It's a promotion for another bloody game show on freaking TNT. And they've been building this piece of crap up for the entire night, getting my hopes up. I was hoping to get something wrestling related out of this. No, it's just a stupid TV show. And I fully understand that it was probably not AEW who approached TNT and said, hey, let's cross-promote this shit. No, it was the network that said, hey, let's cross-promote this shit. Put this stuff in there. But don't put it at the end of your show. Don't hype it up all night. Put it in the middle there. Cody says, hey, I'm still hurt. I'm doing this show. Watch this. Building me up and then breaking me down with this stupid announcement. I liked the show until the end. And then I was like, it was the worst episode of Dynamite I've ever seen. Screw you guys.
That honestly probably was the worst episode of Dynamite, if we're being honest here. I did not like that episode of Dynamite. Like, if we're looking at the show as a whole, never mind that awful like switching bait they done at the end with Cody. Like, even if we didn't have that awful switching bait, I would have said that was one of the worst Dynamites I've seen in the last year.
You know, reviewing it with you, kind of, yeah, I can see that. But the Cody, not the Cody, the Kenny and Adam Page stuff was so good.
Oh yeah,
I was just so hyped up from this stuff.
Don't get me wrong. Like that segment's fantastic, but this is the WWE conundrum we have. One good segment, don't save a 2-hour show.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So low 2 out of 5. I'm not confident in giving it a 1.
I'm not confident in giving it a 1, but definitely a low 2 out of 5. It was.
And I blame the final segment on this.
You blame the final. I blame the copy and paste angles for the last. If I'm honest, like those angles, like the fucking Ricky Starks promo, the stuff they've done over and over again, it's just been like.
Yeah, but you know the Cody stuff. A streamer on Twitch says a lot. Touch me in the morning and walk away. That's kind of how I felt.
Touch me in the morning. Who says that?
Grand Pooba.
Oh, okay. I've just never heard that before.
Yeah, it sums up all my feelings about this segment. You know, touch me in the morning and walk away.
That's just. It was just. And the worst part is, like the two. I've argued that maybe the last 2 Dynamites haven't been great, and they have been the highest rated Dynamites. This Dynamite got over a million viewers.
Yeah, highest viewer count since October 9th. 2019, shortly after their inception. I think the first episode of Dynamite got 1,400,000 and a little bit, something like that. But let's get the other ratings too. NXT drew very well as well, 928,000. They did not run in competition with AEW this week as well. Raw kind of dipped down on the rating, but it was Labor Day. That's kind of always their excuse for lower ratings. 1.7 million, lowest rating since before the Thunderdome, since the Thunderdome was established.
Yeah.
SmackDown had a high rating, 2.14 million. That's great, but we shouldn't get that excited about the wrestling ratings right now, because 2 weeks ago Nielsen changed how they compute their ratings.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, now they count out-of-home viewership, like bars and stuff like that, sports bars, and it is estimated that the viewership is now 10 to 15% higher than before they made the change.
Right. Okay.
So
Interesting.
that's, yeah. If you take that into consideration, AEW still has a really great rating, but it was more like they did when they run unopposed before.
I think this is a sign that they should both run on a post.
Yeah, they should.
Like, for the good of both shows. Like, not just the good of AEW, because AEW's been beating NXT handedly for the majority of its run. But for the good of NXT, and we said this last week, don't bloody run against him. Change your night.
Then again, by the way, how about you change the title on the screen real quick for me? Thank you.
Of course. Well,
yeah, it's great for AEW and NXT if they don't run opposed to each other. We've talked about NXT a lot last week. How I feel like Vince would rather have them bleed out AEW. Stupid. Anyway, the one promotion we didn't mention last week, and I want to bring up, if they put NXT on Tuesdays, it will oppose Impact.
Impact historically has not been a threat to WWE ever, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it could hurt Impact. And Impact is, right now, it's kind of a harbor, a safe haven for a lot of those released guys. There was a story that a lot of people have been contacting, what's his face? Oh, now I'm blanking. Heath Slater, sorry.
Heath Slater,
I was blanking there. I like the guy a lot. Wasn't a shot at him. A lot of people from inside WWE have contacting him about getting into talks with Impact right now. And I mean, they don't get many viewers right now. They get around 100,000 or so. How many of them? And I feel like those are viewers who would watch NXT. I don't want. Maybe Impact can get a deal. Maybe they can do Thursdays now.
Justin brought up a good point though. If they change the Nissan rings, though, do people go to bars to watch wrestling? Like, the only time I've ever done that is to watch a pay-per-view. Would you have it on much inside an actual local pub?
I've researched that when the change in ratings came up. Apparently in America in sports bars it's on. I couldn't tell. Justin knows more about this probably, but that's what the internet said. Apparently it's on in sports bars.
Yeah, like I feel like Justin would have a better chance of finding that out than we would, because we're not in the States. But yeah, it was an interesting point though.
I mean, it's in some sports bars here even. So
I would like to see what those uplifts do for Impact though. Do we see that Impact? Do we see Impact maybe get that 10% uplift as well?
I didn't look up the ratings for Impact because we don't talk about them that much.
No, definitely not. I mean, I'm just sort of like going forward. Maybe we should look at it just to see if this does. See, maybe going forward, look at Impact, even just at a standpoint of did the ratings go up since the change, and see if are we seeing this uplift across the board for all of our wrestling shows that would be competing technically throughout the week.
Yeah.
So. We're on to the news formally now, and we've had a mixed bag of news this week, if I'm honest. It's been a really weird one.
Let's talk about the biggest, most controversial story, maybe. We have an update on Marty Jannetty. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, he posted on Facebook that he murdered a person in the 70s. The local police got involved, looking at investigating the stuff. Now he put out a very lengthy post on Facebook claiming it's all a wrestling storyline. How could you believe that? And honestly, look up the post. It's amazing how much incoherent rambling is in there. He claimed the storyline was supposed to be this. His friend, a former correctional officer, Darren Kelly, was going to hunt him down in a wrestling storyline, and they would have a match with the stipulation that if Marty Jannetty lost, Darren Kelly could take him in, but if Marty Jannetty beat him, he would walk free, which is stupid anyway.
Yeah. I skimmed it, so I didn't see too much. But did we see it? Did we see it tied to any specific promotion or any?
Well, I googled Darren Kelly. Could be that it's just his real name and he is known as some indie guy. But usually you know the real names of wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
So he's either incredibly underground or he doesn't exist.
Yeah, like Cage Match is usually really good about having a database for all that stuff. So
Cage Match doesn't know about this guy. I looked, couldn't find anything about a wrestler associated with the name Darren Kelly. And back when the original story broke, I said, I don't believe it. I think it's just him craving attention. And you could see this self-delusion in this very post because he commits several paragraphs to this idea that it was world news. It was news all across the world, telling the story, reporting this story about Marty Jannetty. Like he even said that AEW and WWE would wish they had this reach, this news coverage about them. Oh,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. It's not like they blatantly ignored him the whole time. You know, we also did when we originally covered this, said that we take it with a grain of salt that he wasn't a man of sound mind, and that the best thing you can do is to not indulge in a man who is severely needing of some sort of professional help, and that statement right now still stands.
Dude, he even gives himself a pat on the back for his storytelling there because he mixed in real stuff. Basically, I don't really want to retell the story he retold because it was kind of homophobic. But he said, yeah, all the stuff happened, except I didn't kill him. There was still a gay man who sold him drugs and,
came on to him, yeah.
Yeah.
It's honestly...
Crazy,
and just don't give the man time. That you don't feed his delusion because I'll just make it worse.
I hope the people in his life who are close to him saw this message. I mean, the last one he posted, that should have been a wake up call.
Yeah,
for them. But now that it sounds delusional, and I hope they help him get the help he seems to need.
Definitely, just some sort of professional help. That's the way I'll put it. Professional help.
Yeah.
But in the less insane or crazy aspects of wrestling news this week, it's been a sad week as well. We saw more releases in WWE. Mm-hmm. We saw Mike Rotunda being released, who is the father of Bray Wyatt, and I can't remember his brother's name all the time. His brother's name always escapes me.
Come on, you must believe.
Oh, Bo Dallas, thank you.
Yeah.
But yes,
does Bo Dallas even work for WWE? Was he fired?
He was not let go, from my understanding. My understanding is still part of the company, but yes, father of Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt was let go, and he was furloughed initially, and then also fully released this week. He was a road agent. They're not doing road shows at the minute, so the requirement for him is just non-existent. But yeah, as well as that, there also had a trainer who was released as well. Her name escapes me, but it was I believe it was one of the trainers in NXT.
Briscoe Senior was released.
Oh yes, Briscoe as well was released. I don't know what his former part of the company was. I don't know what he was doing for WWE prior to this release, but
I think he was a producer.
Really? Okay. Interesting. I was not aware of that. But yeah, like it just continues on the hemorrhaging of staff for some sort of profit cuts since April. It begs the question: do we have a quarterly call coming up? Is that what's happening here?
It's in October, I believe.
Right. So maybe.
Yeah. I mean, they're still on course for the highest profit year in the existence of WWE and still cutting costs. I mean, there's talk about shutting down or releasing all the employees in several departments, like the traveling department and stuff like that. You don't really need them right now, and I can understand from a business side of view that's just expenses you don't need to have right now. But then again, record profit. Just
Maybe
furlough them, pay them at least a little bit so they don't starve.
Yeah, renegotiate a contract or something just to keep them going until you need them again full time.
Yeah.
But that's as much of that we want to get into. We have, as well as that, we have a bunch of injuries essentially this week as well. So Ivar for up the X in his own match during Raw. He's having to go in for shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
We have Sasha Banks, who's also injured, as well as Big E.
Yes, Sasha Banks has bone bruises in her knee and compressed a neck nerve when Bailey turned on her, and Big E got lacerations and bruised ribs when Sheamus attacked him.
Yeah, so bit of a bad week for both AEW and WWE in that sense. So injuries all over the shop.
Yeah,
but on a different note though, we do also have the hope that WWE wants fans in attendance for Royal Rumble. Now that is a hope, that is not a guarantee. We need to make that very clear. I think it's still too soon to have them in an enclosed area, but sure. Because unless they can do an outdoor event, I think it's not possible, not feasible. Maybe to do an outdoor event, they could be really good, and maybe get in at 10% capacity.
Yeah.
Here's a question I want to pose to you. Do you think they do the 10% capacity in a stadium? Do you think they take a WrestleMania style venue and do a 10% capacity that way to have fans in the arena?
That could very well be, yeah.
That's a way you could do it. Open air stadium. Yes,
yeah.
It's not a lot of people in a lot of ground, but if you do 10% of a stadium, which is capable of 100,000, you have 10,000 people there versus 100.
That's kind of why AEW are getting away with it right now. So
yeah, maybe that's the way they gotta go about it.
I mean, the Daily's place isn't that big, but still.
Yeah.
Dude, let's talk about this really quick. Do you feel like the real fans in attendance at AEW shows impact the product now? Because I think apart from singing a Judas when they first had fans on, which was epic, gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
You don't hear them for most of the time. I feel like the guys around the ring do more for the atmosphere than the guys they have up there.
I think you're right, and I think that's because they're closer to the mics. They're closer to the pretty much the ring mics and stuff. You did have that good Miro Day chant when Miro showed up, so there is. Mm-hmm. It seems like they are at least popping well for the big moments, but overall, it's not adding them that much.
Maybe tell the sound guys to mic them up better. Have an eye on them.
Maybe have like mics in the actual stands a little bit, not right close, but like just enough to pick up a little bit of ambient.
Yeah.
So
because right now I don't really see the benefit in letting people in, possibly endangering them.
Never do. It just kind of, it's not adding much. It's nice, but like it's not doing a lot for them. It could be better. It could be way better. Do we have any more news? I think we've covered most of our news this week.
I think we've covered them all.
I think it's time to get on to the segment I'm looking forward most to.
Ooh. Shall I give a quick introduction?
I think you should do that right about now.
Hello there, it's the Powerbotch Podcast. And what is the coup de grace for a wrestling match? It's the finisher. It's what can make a wrestler or break a wrestler. It's what helped Randy Orton from overcoming his very boring in-ring style and made him one of the most cheered faces or heel out there. Because let's face it, the Randy Orton match is boring until he hits an RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it makes him.
I think of Randy Orton as the one-hit wonder.
Yeah. So we've scoured the net. We've brainstormed our brains for the top 10 crappiest finishes in wrestling, and we've ranked them for your entertainment. Let's start with number 10.
You want to give me number 10? Or
10. No,
you put the Diamond Cutter me there? I'm going to give you number 10. It's like, Diamond Cutter's not on this list. What are you doing?
I had a problem to frame my big fingers.
It's like, number 10, Diamond Cutter. No, it's not the Diamond Cutter.
No,
number 10, though.
10. Strikes. Especially fist strikes. There are a lot of them. The WMD from the Big Show, which is a slow punch. The brain chop from the Great Khali, which is a slow chop. Apparently it hurts a lot. The Samoan spike from Umaga. A strike with the thumb to the neck. The Cobra from Santino Marella, which is just stupid.
Yeah.
The women's right from Lacey Evans, which is a better WMD if you ask me.
Yeah.
The Lightning Fist from John Cena, which is... I don't even... How did you come up with this?
I think that was satire. It's just like Disco Stewing happened to John Cena, and he just crashed down on someone.
The Hard Punch by Crush and others. All of those are bad finishes because it's just a simple move. You could hit a punch anytime in a match, you know? It's... Why don't you open the match with, you know, and win? But at least it's a move that, in theory, connects. It's a move that could have some impact. That's why it's only number 10.
And in theory, it's an illegal move. You're not meant to. You're not meant to close fist punch in a wrestling match.
Yes. That's why the Samoan spike is the only way to go.
Yes.
Number 9.
The Lie Detector by R-Truth. You questioned my reasoning for putting this on. It's a garbage, spinny mess that we don't even know if R-Truth is hitting people with his elbow, his shoulder, his hand, his head. And we don't even know if he's hitting them on the head, the shoulder, the chest, the arm. It's just kind of like a big spin and then the match is over. And I'm like, well, what is this? What the hell? Like, what did you do? Why are they down? Why are they knocked out? What part of concussive force hit them? Was it the air?
The Headshock fans will get very mad at you.
I mean,
the spin is the most destructive move in the universe.
But did he take them down with just the cyclone of air that went through them?
Yes.
Like, it's so stupid. It's like it's one of the times where I will go like, you know what? Sometimes wrestling moves are just too flippy, and R-Truth's Lie Detector is just too spinny. You know, I would just love to know what the hell he's doing. You know.
Number 8, the check performed by the Goon. You know, at least we can see that he hits this move and what he hits it with. You know, he gets his opponent to the outside, then he gives them a board check. You know, the Goon is an ice hockey player who wrestles because I guess you need a second job. It's a hard economy. You know,
it was a hard economy.
He gives them a board check into the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, if you didn't know. Then he has to roll them back into the ring, and then he can cover them. So it's a very complicated process to get them there.
As well as that, it's also one that you can kind of see the end of every match coming because it's either going to hit the board check or he's going to get the board check reversed. You know, you know that it's kind of signifying the end of the match way too early. It's convoluted. It's just a mess. It just elongates a match for no reason.
Which leads us to number 7.
We have Warrior Splash, which is some of the old school Golden Age wrestling fans might hit me for saying. But the Warrior Splash is the stupidest splash I've ever seen. I've never seen a man get so excited, taut, ready to run, runs towards the ropes, runs towards the person, stands very still, and then jumps on them. It's like all of the momentum he brought into that there, and just stops. It's like yeah. It's like, what is that? Like, you know, It's just garbage. It's just unnecessary garbage. But apparently, because the Warrior is just so full of the Warrior's energy, it will take you down.
John, you need the lightning strike and the rocket fuel to feel the Warrior splash.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he is just so taut because he's just literally drank a vat of rocket fuel. Maybe that's what it is.
Number 6. The spear is a very treasured move, and it can look very brutal and impactful, and I love it. Except when Edge does it.
So you mean the gentle hug?
Yeah. I feel like Edge is going for a schoolboy, but he kind of misses his mark, and people misinterpreted it as a spear, and then he went with that. Oh yeah, I didn't botch a schoolboy. It was a spear all along.
It was a spear all along, and it got the win because I said stay down.
I mean, the spear is on paper a very easy move to perform.
And it can look incredible in the right hands.
It can look incredible in the right hands. I mean, I feel like it takes talent to make it look that bad.
Yeah.
And Adam Copeland, Edge, is a fantastic wrestler, but he's stuck with the spear for like decades in his career. I don't see why he has this move. It's stupid.
Do you know what the problem is? He goes down on his knees instead of leaps into it. So he goes down on his knees and kind of like takes his momentum away by going down on his knees and then taking the person down on the ground where they are. Where like when you see someone like Rhino who does the gore, he leaps at them and his feet physically leave the ground and he travels in the air for a hot second, and just Edge just goes like, okay, it's time to get on my knees like a cheap hooker. Let's do this. You know, it's one of those ones where that one modification ruins the actual move.
Number 5.
We have the Playmaker or the Ozone, and let me tell you, it's the best move in the world if you want to just knee the ground. Because what the hell is that move? How is that meant to damage anyone? So let me put my leg over your neck and shoulder and head. Let me get your arm, and then let me turn you. But as we're turning, I just really heavily knee the ground. But you're safe, though, because I've cushioned all of the impact.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I was one of the finishes Randy Orton had. He had a crossbody, then he had the Ozone. Finally found the RKO.
Finally found his trusty weapon, and
but yeah, they used the Ozone for Randy Orton, and years later they had this new fresh guy, MVP. Hey, we have this really crappy finishing move that would be perfect for you.
Yeah, it's like you got like a charisma. You're a real shit heel. You're getting people angry. Let's make them more confused by you just kneeing the ground.
Number 4. You know, back then there was a guy called Yokozuna.
Yes.
And he was a very, very heavy man. And he used to win by dropping his gigantic bum on people's rib cages, possibly killing them. It's neither here nor there. Take away 500 pounds from Yokozuna. Don't jump on a opponent lying on the ground, but just, put your bum in the midsections when they run at you or something like that.
Just put your bum in their face essentially, but like as they run.
It's a move called, she calls it the rear view. Naomi's rear view is, I mean, I can see it as a transitional move.
Yeah.
But as a finisher?
Asuka does it as well, but it's not a finisher. Asuka does do a version of it, but she runs at you and then hits you with it, where Naomi stands still and lets you run into her.
And I feel like if you want to hit an opponent with anything, you want to hit him with something hard. That's why you use a fist. It has knuckles.
Yeah.
She uses a very soft part of her body, if you want to be honest.
Let me just be clear here. She can review me any day. But anyway, it's one of those situations where it's not going to be very impactful with the way she does it. You weren't expecting that at all, were you?
Let's use this transitional move to get into number 3.
Let's get a little bit. Let's take a theatrical approach to things. Why don't we? Why don't we put a bit of pomp and circumstance into our finishers? Why don't we just run across the ring like you're trying to do laps at a sports day, and then realize that you're meant to actually finish the opponent? Stop. Do a wee jig and then an elbow, or maybe you just want to do some swishy after you've done the worm. We're talking about theatrical finishers. This is like the people's elbow. This is the worm, which has now been redone by Otis these days. It used to be done by Scotty Too Hot.
Hottie?
Yes, Scotty Too Hot.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was Scotty Too Hot or if it was someone else. But yes, they are, again, much like the Warrior Splash. It's a lot of running and momentum that just stops out of nowhere. Lots of pomp and circumstance, and then a hit that really realistically wouldn't knock anyone out. People's elbow hits someone in the chest, and that's kind of like what we said earlier about the strikes. It's like, it's like the hard punch. It really shouldn't knock a person out. Or you have the worm, which is just a slap or a chop. It's just theatrical garbage.
I mean, at least the Warrior Splash with all the theatrics, he dropped his whole body weight on his opponent in kayfabe.
Yeah.
That's a little more.
Feel. Like, he had that in the rocket feel, Don't forget, he's got the rocket feel in him. That's what makes him so taut. Where...
I mean, you can use moves like that. There's a right way to use them. Think of the 5-knuckle shuffle or whatever Cena calls it these days.
Yeah, it's a transitional thing. It kind of it wakes a person up in a daze so he can then do his other crap move instead of finishing the match,
Yeah. Number 2, the Sextination. I don't know what it is, but at least he hit him.
I remember that.
What is a Sextination, John?
It kind of looks like someone went in for. It looks like Byron Saxton kind of goes in for. It's hard to explain, but it kind of looks like he went for like a neck breaker, and then went, oh no, it's not a neck breaker. I'm trying to do maybe a guillotine. Oh wait, I'm just gonna fall. I'm just gonna fall and bring them gently down with me. It's such a I can't explain it. It's just it's unparalleled garbage.
It looks like he came up with it on the spot and had indecision paralysis, but he kept using it.
Yeah.
We don't know why. But this move is a good reflection of his commentary style, so.
A lot of flash and no substance.
It's a very complicated finisher. It doesn't look like it is very painful to take. I mean, it's bad all around, but not as bad as our number 1. They say a submission move brings a lot of tension in a wrestling match. It can heighten the stakes. It can make you want to see someone tap out or muster up their last bit of power to escape. But who could ever escape the technical masterpiece that is John Cena's STFU? A move that is famous for John Cena not touching you. You know those pictures of like guys like with girls and they do the hover move.
Oh yeah,
not touching them, but just hovering.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what John Cena is doing here. When he locks in the STFU, he's very wary about not locking in the move.
Yeah, he's just gently having a little lie down on the person's back. It's kind of like if a couple were trying to be cute and one partner was lying on the other one's back while in bed watching TV. It's very romantic. I don't know if it's very deadly or very submissive though.
If all those guys who were made to tap out to the STFU have brought great shame to their families.
Great shame.
A certain personality on the internet says the Young Bucks are killing the business. Ricochet is killing the business. Well, this shit is killing the business. It's breaking the suspension of disbelief because it's such utter crap.
Such garbage. Even Blue in the chat there's a saying that's seen as STFU is worse, dare I say, than the cross-faced chicken wing. Yeah, I think you are. I think you're 100% right on that one, Blue. It's a terrible garbage move. It is. What can you say? There's just nothing to it. It's not even a submission. He doesn't cinch it in. In fact, Austin give him crap for not cinching it in on his podcast.
Yeah, rightfully so.
and like Cena was kind of laughing, and he was like, "No, I'm serious. Cinch it in." Like one of those ones. It's like, no, I'm not. This is not a joke. Do the fucking move properly. And he made Wade Barrett. I think was that the thing that Wade Barrett went into on like the height of the Nexus. Was that the thing that stopped the Nexus in their track? Was that? I'm near sure it was.
He must have used that on them. Yeah.
I think that was like at the like first time they went. Remember, it was like Team WWE versus Team Nexus. I think he literally quashed the Nexus run with that move.
Yeah.
Just the symbolism in that there is just staggering.
I think that brings us to the end of this week's show, doesn't it?
It is. We just got clarification. It was that move that killed the Nexus. But this is the end of this week's Powerbotch podcast, guys. Of course, if you've enjoyed the podcast, I'm going to ask you very politely to listen what Freed's going to tell you what to do right now. No, wait, I'm not going to do that to you again. But no, obviously you're going to hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on the podcast as it goes live. Notification on bell on as well. That way you don't miss out on it. Tap that there. We understand these podcasts are about an hour and a half long. We've got so many clips that go out for the week. You'll get a feel and a feed for those small moments that we think are some of the more interesting aspects of the previous podcast in a digestible format. Have a look out for there as well. Do us a favor, hit the like button. We love it when you hit the like button. That helps us out immensely, feeds the YouTube algorithm, gets more people into this here podcast, and also means that we can grow a small, awesome community of wrestling fans who want to talk about wrestling every damn week. Obviously, if you want to see more of our lovely faces, you can do so. Of course you can. you can definitely find ourselves over at Twitch. You can find Freed at twitch.tv Freed_1. You can find me at twitch.tv it's /it's PVG. And of course you can also find me on Twitter at OdinPVG. I am so happy that the overlords have approved our Twitch message. But anyway, guys, it's time for myself and Freed to love yous and to leave yous. But we will, hopefully, if we're lucky, see yous on the next podcast, guys. Have a good one.
Peace.